Good morning. You all came back this year. I like that. Glad we're here. I had a great time. I got to travel clockwise through Arizona and visit some family and friends over a holiday. And it was just very sweet. It was very sweet. It was a little bit too much driving. I really prefer to just fly to a nice tropical beach. But what was great was I saw two friends, two couples who had both been to Italy independently. And the one told the story of Antonio, the pizza maker, who made the best pizza in the whole wide world, and he was in Rome. So they met Antonio in their wanderings, and really it was the most delicious, best pizza, in not only in Italy, but in the whole wide world. Really. And his life's dream, his dream of his whole life's work was to serve a pizza to the Pope. And he had waited years and years and made so many phone calls, and finally one day he took a call from the Pope's assistant, and he says, okay, now's the time you can deliver your best pizza to the Pope. So he prepared it with all the best organic and free range and most wonderful, the best sauce, and put the pizza pie in that stone oven, and even, I don't know if he wrote a gondola or what he did, but he did his best to get it to the very best, the most delicious place that he could get this pizza, this ideal dream pizza. So he's ready to go, and he hops on his bicycle to deliver the pizza, and there's a bunch of traffic. He can't get across traffic. And he sees his friend across the street, Luigi, who's a police officer who can halt traffic and make sure that he gets across with this warm pizza in time. So he's bicycling to the Vatican, and he says, Luigi, please, stop traffic. I'm delivering a pizza. I'm delivering a pizza to the Pope. Excuse me, I had a little too much fun in Arizona, but it's allergies or something, so I can hug y'all. So he finally says, Luigi stops traffic, and he says, I'll only do this if you give me half of what the Pope gives you. I need, like in Italy, I need half of what in order to stop traffic for you. He said, okay, thanks for parting the Red Sea there, and I'll go ahead and I'll cross the way. I want him to have the best, hot, warmest, most delicious pizza in the whole wide world. So he delivers it. They open the door, and it's a wonderful time, and it's well received, and it's like dripping all this wonderful sauce and this yummy, delicious stuff. And the Pope has just a great experience, and he's even invited back. And then he's on his way back. Antonio just had his dream of his life fulfilled. And he sees Luigi. He says, now, how did it go? And he says, it was the dream fulfilled. It was the most awesome thing. I just had the most amazing experience, and I'm so grateful. Thank you for parting traffic. I couldn't have done it without you. And he says, okay, now give me your half. I want exactly half of what the Pope had given you. And he says, okay, I'll give you half right now. And the deeper meaning is we want you to have it all. Not just half. We want you here at the Center for Spiritual Living to have it all. It's sort of like this one-hand clapping. I had a meditation teacher way back when that it was like this was the closest thing to the oneness, to the one hand clapping that helped us move forward in life. And we want you to have it all. Not just part of it, but to know that we can have it all in all areas. And when I learned about the one-hand clapping, and I learned about being mindful and to uplift my thoughts, and to also turn away from some problems and more towards solutions in my life. And my friend Sinjen Young, say that 5 times fast, Sinjen Young says he does some pain management and grief recovery and that sort of thing now. What he does is he combines some Eastern thought with modern day science. And that's a lot of what we do here. What our founder had done is synthesized world spirituality, where we're all welcome here. And we have a tradition in the Centers for Spiritual Living where everything is welcome and we're all inclusive. And in January, we do a back to basics. So there's the first 4 chapters in the Science of Mind textbook, which goes over the thing itself, what Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of the Science of Mind, which is a guide for spiritual living, it's sometimes called the Science of Mind and Spirit. Or sometimes we're in a hurry and we just abbreviate it as the Science of Mind, mind with a capital M. And what it says is that we deserve it all. We can have it all. And so if we're a veteran in this teaching, the month of January is an opportunity to delve into this philosophy in our lives anew, to delve deeper. And if we're brand new to the teaching, we can have this opportunity to experience the life-transforming principles and practices. Shimon's here in the audience. Oh, great. I want to do you mind taking a quick intermission? It's like some of the best things on earth, you have intermission. Shimon is here. Shimon, who played the flugelhorn like Chuck Mangione in Susan's, and you're going to be on the YouTube with this right now. Shimon King, and then there's Christian. I was looking for you earlier. Christian with the Marketplace. So forgive me, but we needed an intermission on how excited I'm so excited how life is. So it is exciting. We can have it all. We can have Shimon sitting in the back row, just as humble as he is, with his Chuck Mangione music up here. Oh my gosh. So it's possible because we have it all available to us. I'll take a little story. I'd gone over to have tea about the women's group or something, and then up popped this thing called the Chocolate Lovers Art Fest, and lo and behold, Shimon plays amazing music. So that I didn't go over with the intent of that happening. It was available. We just sat down at the table and it was served up right there over a cup of tea. So that's how life happens. That's amazingly how life happens. So the founder of our teaching and our movement, he had a deep passion for finding these shared principles and the depths of all spirituality. And that's why we find value in all faith traditions. We look for the value in all the traditions. And from 1919 till about 1960, Dr. Ernest Holmes wrote a lot. He talked a lot to thousands of people, and he was convinced that universal spiritual principles could reunite humankind because of its transformational nature. It's universal. It's all that there is. There's a transformational healing power that's ever accessible and ever available. And what this does is this brand new year and brand new you sets us back on a new road to our destiny, our true destiny, a new road in whatever faith tradition that we're in. And intentionally, there was an educational institute set up, and that's what some of the things that we do here is we have some wonderful educational programs. And then people also wanted communities, so then that's how churches grew up, and it came from a result of the community. And much like we're responding to things here in the community of what people desire, you're going to find us like, remember when we had that bistro setting a while ago? We're going to also have a meet and greet at the end of service, too. It's just 2 new things, added things that we're going to be experiencing. So the classes are extensive, they're powerful here, and many people said that they wanted further study about their spiritual experiences and further sharing in communities. So we have some study, we have some spiritual practices, and further sharing. And what that enables us to do is to move forward in our own lives in the experience of the divine, in our divine nature, in that truth. And so what Dr. Ernest Holmes knew was that perhaps that he knew that it may be difficult to teach an old dogma new tricks. So we don't necessarily have my karma ran over your dogma, or we don't have like we have ideas and we have a declaration of principles. When Dr. Ernest Holmes was asked what he believed, we have ageless wisdom and in this new thought movement. And so there's some key ideas that we're going to go over in a second. I'm going to give us 3 key ideas, and then 3 key steps in order to put those ideas in action. So the study and the community later became Church of Religious Science, and then it also then became Centers for Spiritual Living, just because it had a better feel to it, because that's what we're doing, is we're living spiritually. In 1958, Dr. Ernest Holmes declared, "We are forerunners in a campaign of spiritual freedom, intellectual integrity, and emotional stability in a spiritual world. It is a privilege to take part in a new spiritual renaissance." So as we take that to heart in our life, we have a renaissance already going on, a renewal, a refreshment. And as I came back from visiting some of my friends and family, I felt that renewal and that rejuvenation and that refreshment. And we all bring that from times in our lives. We can bring that forward to right now. And even with so many challenges that are in our life, there's that frequency of human consciousness that is on the rise. No matter what the circumstances or conditions, there's a higher frequency. There's that positive vibration. There's that frequency of human consciousness that's on this wave, that ride of that renaissance. And I sense this vibrational understanding. I sense this. I know this. I know that there's an invisible reality. There's that which expresses itself from the invisible to the visible in my life. No matter what that form is or whatever that creation, it's that creativity, much like these creative art cards, that creativity. There's that one creative love intelligence. There's the wisdom, there's the divine guidance, there's that inspiration. Dr. Ernest Holmes called it the thing itself. He also said that the study of the science of mind and spirit is a study of first cause, spirit, mind, or that invisible essence. It's the ultimate stuff, the intelligence from which everything comes, the power back of creation, the thing itself. So for those of us when we may have some connotations with the word God, we can use all different kinds. We can use love, beauty, peace, joy, whatever that brings home to us in our heart. And at one time, Dr. Ernest Holmes was asked what he believed, and that is what became the Declaration of Principles. And in the first stanza, it talks about we believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation. And it's very much it's consistent with the findings of quantum physics. It is the thing itself which shows up as the spiritual expression in all creation, in all form. And it's beyond words. It's divine love. We could call it the divine whatchamacallit. You know? That'll work. And it's not necessarily a being, but beingness itself. It's not a spirit, but it's all spiritual life. It's not mind, but one mind and all intelligence. It's not a man, like a guy on a cloud or with a beard floating around, but it's the ideal of divinity expressing through our humanity. I have some smiles on that. Thank you for smiling. Makes my heart smile. So we have three key ideas. We have a great take-home today. There's key ideas to spiritual living. So try it on. Try on a sense of oneness. That there's one life and it's all that there is. That it's pure awareness. It's intelligence, it's creativity, it's infinite potential, it's possibilities. It's a virtual state. It's all matter. It's energy. It's what we experience when we have that creative place, we have that capacity, we have that feeling of the divine essence. We are an expression of that divine life. And it is the recognition of what Jesus the Christ, who was the master teacher, a way shower, a great example. He was an example, not an exception, but this too, we can do this or something better. He said that I and the Father are one. He said that we are in the oneness already. And Science of Mind brings us this realization that we are spiritual beings. We are so much more than just material beings. We are the spirit and expression. It's the vision and the love and all of our capabilities that are inside of us. And we know that there is such beauty that is happening inside of us that we're already endowed with our capabilities. We already are capable, and we deserve to have it all, much like the pizza. We deserve to have it all. Raymond Charles Barker, who was also a New Thought teacher out of New York, big in the day, said that you are God's image now. Try that on. Say after me, I am God's image now. I am God's image now. And just see how that sets in your heart. We are inlets and outlets of infinite love. And it's beyond any idea that there was any mistake. It's beyond that there's anything that was implanted other than that which is our divine essence. And being in the wholeness, being in the well-being, being at one. So in essence, we're not wicked, we're not spiteful, we're beloved and purposeful. We're not fallen, we're not worthless, we are sacred and limitless. As Dr. Roger Teal says, you are not an original sinner, you are a spiritual winner. That is the message. Yeah. And I know that creation unfolds from that intelligence of the divine that is within us. We are sowing seeds of greatness. We are in an everyday wonder. We can wake up every day and have that refreshment and that renewal. And like the great teacher said, as you have believed in your heart, not halfway, as you have believed wholeheartedly in your heart, so shall it be done unto thee. Thought has within it a creative element. And it's good to know that we're co-creators, that we're empowered, that we're not just at effect of something, but yes, we can be causative agents in our lives. And that thought has within it that co-creation already. And that there's practical spirituality here. It's practical. We can roll up our sleeves and meet our needs. We can meet the demands and the needs of our lives and watch it bloom. So there's 3 steps in spiritual living. Just 3. I bet there's more, but how about 3 today? What do you think? Number 1, we awaken daily in our spiritual essence. We can come out of and rise out of, much like our theme slide, rise out of that collective agreement that there's limitation or separation. There's oneness. We can awaken to the deeper truth of our being. We can stop letting conditions of our lives tell us who we are or influence us. We can come back to that truth, and we can know that we are the loving essence. I am centered in that one loving source. We are the loving essence, and knowing that we are not our problems, we're not our things, we're not our status, we're not our past, we're not even our dreams. We are the life of spirit. Doesn't that feel energizing? You know, we're already energized with these qualities, and that I can allow my life to blossom. So we're sowing seeds of greatness with a new design for living. And I love it when Emerson, I love Emerson, It's so sweet. It's so natural. He invites us in some of his essays. He says, let us take our bloated nothingness out of the path of the divine circuits. There may be demeaning things that we may have said about ourselves, and our opinions sometimes about ourselves are like overrated. We can get a new thought. And this concept of awakening daily to our spiritual essence works in tandem with our next concept, which is to uplift our thoughts. The truth will set us free, and to know that we are beloved beings. We are the being essence. We are that outlet of creativity. And much like Dr. David Hawkins on the nature of God says, in the eye of the eye, from which nothing is hidden. God is everywhere present, including the here and now. The presence of God is thus available to everyone all the time. It's like the music is playing on the radio all the time. We're just tuning in that station. To realize this is just a matter of awareness. The presence of God is the quintessence of profound peace, stillness, and love. Quintessence. Ooh. Yeah, that means pure and concentrated essence of a substance. Pure and true. And it's the most perfect embodiment of something. And in ancient philosophy, the fifth quintessence, so quint meaning five, was ether. It was that invisible becoming visible. And those other elements were just the natural elements of air and fire and earth and water. But if we think about how water operates, it has all those forms. It has the form where it's where it's very fluid, and it's that steam, or it's the beautiful dew that I walked out with in my yard this morning, the beautiful mist. Or it could be something like an iceberg in my life that I need to just have chip away a new sculpture of that. Or it could be that the water is warm. Or it could be that the water, I was careful when I went out of town. I left my pipes open. I wanted the faucets not to freeze and break. But if you leave a little drip, I left it open just a little bit. And I'm on a well, so I'm thinking it's going back in the ground and wasn't going to waste. But the little drip, and we have that in our spiritual practices too, our affirmations are that drip. As we have an uplifting thought, any cloudy or muddy water becomes more clear. I left the pipes dripping so they wouldn't be brittle and break. And I know that if I have a glass of cloudy water, that if I let it settle, all of the cloud just settles and it becomes just the clear glass, clear water, not muddy. So if I leave it alone, and I have to be consistent, or I may have to be a little patient that I leave that cloudy glass of water and that it settles. And we oftentimes do that in meditation, right? We settle our minds, we settle our heart, and we become clear vehicles of the thing itself. The mind settles. When we add drops of clear water like affirmative prayer, affirmations, we have a consistent drip, 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 and we find that we have results and more results. I read in my travels by Sir Reynold Fiennes, what a name, that there was no such thing as bad weather, only inappropriate clothing. And what I know is that spirituality is a process. It's not just a product. We can experience it today if I'm in despair, or if I'm hopeful, or whether I'm sad, or whether I'm joyful and fulfilled, whether I have appropriate clothing or not. Our spirituality is already ours because we're alive. It's a gift. So I know that hope, like spirituality, it's not going to just happen one day like a product, because there's this process that I'm already in. It's not that I'm just going to, I know that I'll get there in spite of any inclement weather, because I'm already in progress. I'm already in progress. So it's not just one day I'll clean up my mess, or it's not when I get married, or when I have kids, or when the kids grow up, or when I retire, or when I die. It's not one day, because one day is not a day of the week. One day is today. And we can awaken in our divine essence and uplift our thoughts. Today is this day. And it's how we feel about ourselves in the process. Whether we're facing dragons or whether we're facing beautiful roses, it's how we are in the process. It matters how we are. And it's our character of how we are that sustains us. It's how we move forward, how we progress. And you know what? We're taking it on. We're in a new design for living. We're taking it on. And so it's not whether we're too skinny or too tall or too young or whatever. It's how do I move from being perhaps powerless in whatever area? Because remember, it's not just half. It can apply to all areas. How do I move from being a powerless in whatever area to being empowered? How do I? We choose. We are proactive co-creators in our lives. Once we choose, we get to be consistent, like the drips. Like that clear water. We just keep adding that clarity. So the second action step is that we become available to, we be willing to uplift our thoughts. So we awaken in our divine essence, and we are willing to uplift our thoughts. And it's just like riding a bike. I've got this mountain bike, and sometimes I forget. I mean, it becomes more natural as I ride it more on different terrain. So if I slip into worry or negativity, if there's other energies that I'm experiencing and I want to experience something different, I'm willing to uplift my thoughts. So how often do I find myself having a good time? Am I missing some fun? Am I missing some joy? I want to move into love. I want to move into joy. I want to move into that peacefulness. And it's much like Emmett Fox, who's another New Thought leader, who talks about the golden key. Anyone have a set of keys on them? I'm sure there's a golden one already in your pocket. What he says is to stop thinking about the problem and start thinking about God. Got it? Yeah, we all have that key already. So the idea of the divine, we're this loving expression, the thing itself, and just to have a review of who we truly are, and knowing that it is in, through, as, and all around us. And that, you know what, our inner life shows up in our outer life, and it becomes reflected even more. The third step is that we embrace the dream within our heart. We dream the divine that is within us. We know what our true calling is, our true path, and we know that there is everything that has ever happened has made us who we are today. So to embrace that, to totally embrace that, and to bless it all, and move forward. One more story is my friend Steve and John, way back when, and it calls to my heart, because I remember this picture is Steve Lindquist at the 1986 Olympics, and I had been an usher there, and so Steve is leaning over here, and my friend John Moffat, who I had spent many 2 hours in the morning on the cold day like this swimming, Steve is leaning over, and he had gotten first place, and John had gotten third, but John was really the forerunner in the 1980 Olympics, which was then boycotted. But what happened to John was he awakened to his divinity, and he had such a spiritual experience that it allowed him to get past. He had a diagnosis in between the 80 and the 84 Olympics. It enabled him to get past that. No matter what that cloudy or muddiness was, he was able to show up and be that spiritual expression of a winner, of a spiritual winner. And so there's such a reaching out from these two gentlemen that they sowed their own seeds of greatness. They recognized the greatness that was within each other. So I know that we can too move toward a more heart-centered life and celebrate our spiritual essence with these three things. Awaken to our divine essence. Uplift our thoughts. And embrace the dream that is within our hearts. I'm going to close with a quote from one of my favorites, Al Franken. Remember Jack Handy on Saturday Night Live? That's right. Much like there's only inappropriate clothing, but knowing that we always have that sunshine and rainbows, in our hearts. We always have that the sun is always shining somewhere. Al Franken says that it's easier to put on slippers than to carpet the whole world. All right. So just turning within for a moment of inner celebration, realizing that there is the joy in awakening to our true divine essence that continues and is already moving forward as the infinite life, the divine source, the one loving source of wholeness, of well-being, of peace, of joy, of love. And in this infinite presence, I know that I am absolutely connected and in communion and unified in this field of love, of oneness, of acceptance. Knowing that there is forward momentum and movement in the full acceptance and spirit just showing up in all areas. The allness of the all, and just welcoming, being a welcoming presence for the allness, and embracing and knowing that what is ignited in our hearts is this beautiful divine pattern, which is unfolding in grace, in ease, and in plenty of joy. I am grateful for this time together, and knowing that there is sharing and caring happening here right now, and expanding and in the sowing seeds of greatness, knowing that there is that which is, in essence, to God, be the very glory of our life. So I release this word knowing in full confidence and calm and poise and peacefulness that it is beautiful. And so it is. Please join in a few moments of silence.